Good morning. Good morning. How's it going, guys? Welcome back. Welcome back. 9:30 a.m. Markets are opening January 21st, 2026. Good morning. Good morning. Nice to have you guys with me. So today we're going to go over the headlines. Lots have happened in the markets. A lot. S&P, big drop yesterday. You guys probably saw that. So we're going to break down the supply and demand dynamics that have been playing out there with respect to institutional buying and selling. We'll take a look at the headlines. We're going to take a look at the trending tickers of the day and just set the stage for the rest of the day for you guys so that you guys are ready to trade, okay? So we're going to be doing that today, and let's get down to it. Let's just cut off the music here. Say so long to Mozart. Nice to have you. Thank you very much. All right, so headlines. Trump stirring up a lot, isn't he? Well, you know, the headlines were saying that Trump is the reason why the markets are dropping. But as we know, headlines are usually there to facilitate or to help facilitate what was going to take place in the markets regardless, okay? The institutions have an agenda as to what they want to do with price, and they need help to have that agenda fulfilled. This is my perspective on the markets. It has been put together over years of studying price action with the tremendous help of understanding institutional buying and selling. If I didn't understand institutional buying and selling, it'd be very difficult for me to understand what was really taking place in the markets. But when you know what the banks are doing with their buying and selling, and you know the sequences that play out in the market and what to expect from each time frame and how they're all connected, then you start to see a very clear picture of what is taking place in the markets. So we're going to take a look at that storyline, as I like to call it. We're going to take a look at the storyline and see what is taking place in the markets based on what the banks are doing with price. So U.S. stock futures waver as Trump speaks in Davos. All right, well, let's start by examining the stock market and look at what took place yesterday. Okay, so yesterday we had a drop in price. And as you know, I had a trade here, went long the S&P futures with a target up here. Okay, it's a target that I had located back on October 17, 2025. It's still good. It's still in play. Still watching for this target to be hit next time price wants to go up. But it didn't want to go up now, okay? It could have gone up now, but it didn't want to. So here's what's going on the daily time frame. And the reason why I'm looking at the daily time frame is because I know that this is the time frame that is in play. What do I mean by that? Well, we did a class just recently about how to know what time frame is in play. Essentially, this is the deal. There are many things happening on the charts, okay? There's things happening on the 6-month time frame, the monthly time frame, weekly, daily, 4-hour. Something's happening on each time frame, right? You have to find out which time frame are the institutions focusing their attention on, or what time frame is the one that's most relevant, okay? Because remember, when demand comes in on a monthly time frame, that means over a month or maybe 2 months, buying was taking place in a tight range, okay, in a very tight range. When there's an explosive move on a monthly time frame, that means buying is taking place on an escalated level, okay, over a monthly time frame, right? So we need to know, are they creating demand on a monthly time frame, or is it only weekly? Are they creating a structure on a daily time frame? Are they creating a trend on a daily time frame or a weekly? You need to know what time frame they are focusing their attention on, or what time frame the institutions are accumulating or distributing a position. And so the daily time frame is in play now. And the reason being is because the weekly has already played out. Now, you remember several weeks ago, I pointed out a very key, very important weekly demand zone on the NASDAQ. Do you guys remember that? Okay. On the NASDAQ, I pointed out to you a very important key supply zone. And I told you, they're going to drop price into this zone and they're going to shoot price up from it. I told you before it actually happened. Okay. Here was the zone. Okay. Go back through the feed and you'll see that this is what I told you. Okay. When price entered in here, they were going to move price to the upside. All right. And that's exactly what took place. You see what happened here? Price came into the buying zone and look what happened with price. It's been going up ever since. Now, so the weekly time frame was in play. That's how I knew that they were going to drop price into this demand zone and then rally up from it, because I knew the weekly time frame was in play. Now, after the weekly time frame comes into play, there's this structure that's being built off of that weekly time frame. And to understand what they're doing, you need to shift down one time frame. And shifting down one time frame takes you to the daily time frame, okay, right here. Now, this is where price contacted that weekly area of demand. And so we've been focused on what is happening ever since that weekly demand came into play. Well, we had an institutional supply zone, if you guys remember, right here, that we were waiting for them to remove it. Price came into the weekly supply and they dropped price, okay? So at that point, they were not willing to take out their supply and to come in with demand, okay? In other words, they were not willing to remove the massive sell orders that they had so they can come in with buy orders. Well, eventually they did remove it right here, and look what happened, okay? Big institutional buying came in and took place, right? So much so that it caused price to rally up, and then look what happened when they dropped price back into that buying zone, okay? What did they do? They bought again. That's what caused price to go up. Now, instead of just continuing going up, which is what we were suspecting would happen, because this is what typically happens, well, they decided to push price back down again into the institutional demand. So there's one of two things happening. One, they are accumulating one more time long positions in preparation for a big explosive move to the downside. Or two, they are preparing to remove their buying zone in preparation for a move to the downside. It's one of the two. Okay, it's one of the two. And I know you're thinking, well, price is either going to move up or down, Kev. No, it's not as simple as that. It's going to either be accumulating a long position from this exact demand zone, or they're going to be removing this exact demand zone. And when they do that, they'll be coming in with selling again. And then we'll be able to track the selling, okay? Most important thing is that we're trying to figure out what is going to take place in this area here of price on the chart, okay? And why does it start from here? Well, because this is where the weekly buying zone came into play. So now we're seeing what is happening on the daily time frame to facilitate what just happened by price contacting the weekly area of demand. Okay, these are some of the concepts and principles that we teach at the school, and we go over this concept in great detail over and over again across many different markets so that you can understand what the banks are doing with these assets, okay? So we're still inside demand, so there is no bearishness here. Yes, there's short-term selling that has taken price into institutional demand, but we still have institutional demand in play. So overall, the NASDAQ is still very bullish, and we have institutional buying that should come into play right now. Right now is the time for a bounce. If there's going to be a bounce, it's going to be now, okay? If there's going to be a move up, it's going to be now because we have this demand zone in play, all right? So that's the NASDAQ, and when we switch to the S&P, this is what we have. We have an institutional demand zone that could have come into play and could have facilitated a big move to the upside, which is what we were putting our money on, okay? But they decided to remove this area. So this is the market, right? You can't know every single thing every single time. There's too many factors in play, right? Price has dropped, so now the headlines are extremely bearish. Extremely bearish. If you read the headlines, you'll see very bearish. But the interesting thing is that as the headlines are so bearish, we have institutional demand coming into play here. Okay, so essentially what we have now is a situation where we have supply up above and demand down below. Okay, and typically in a situation like this, what we'll have is a ranging take place. But the thing here is that within this ranging, it's either going to have to break to the upside or break to the downside. But now you know exactly to watch for. Is it going to be supply or is it going to be demand? I suspect over time we're going to see price move up from this area down here, and I'm going to be watching the 1 hour time frame for that momentum shift because there's a potential long trade to be taken here from down here at the lows. I suspect price is going to rally, range a little bit, but I think over time we are likely going to get the supply zone to be removed and price to head higher. And the reason why this is the likelihood is, again, because of the massive demand that has come in from down below. Okay, so this is what I suspect is likely going to happen. So you see what's happening on the NASDAQ. You see what's happening on the S&P, right? Now I take you to the Dow Jones, and what do we have here? You see what has just come into contact right here? Okay, do you see what is happening here right now, what we're starting to get? I'm expecting a bounce here. Okay, and why? Well, because this is what happens when institutional demand comes into play, all right? And again, if you look at the headlines, they're very bearish. They're giving you all the reasons why price just dropped. Big headlines yesterday. Big headlines about the big drop in the Dow. No problem. Yeah, it was a big drop into institutional demand, all right? And there could be a signal off of here. Here's price action, right? Right now it's very bearish, as you can see. Okay, but look at this green candle that we're getting right now. This could easily put price into a range bound, which is good because once it's range bound, if it turns into something bullish, we can participate in a move to the upside. Okay, all you'd have to know is where to target to the upside, and there's ways to figure that out. Find institutional supply, one time frame down, which would be here. I'd be targeting, give or take, around this area. I'd be targeting 49.50s. Okay. I'm looking for, let's see here. Yeah, right here could be institutional demand. Right here. Right here. If we get a nice rally and another drop, this could be a long right here. From here to here. Okay? With institutional buying coming in here. Down below. All right? So that could be a trade opportunity to watch for. So I'll keep my eye on that and see how that plays out. But the bottom line is we got big demand zones in play. So today we should be expecting a bullish move. Okay? A lot of people are going to be exiting positions right now. So because of these bearish headlines. So so be watchful for that. Okay? So that is what's going on with the indexes. Bond market is starting to speak up again. Yes, I've noticed that there's been lots of movement in the bond market. Mostly a move to the downside, which I'm not too happy about because I got a long position and I'm underwater on it. You know, oh my God, look at all my drawings moving again. What is going on? This is crazy. This is not good. All these drawings were perfectly on top of my candles. I'm going to have to write to them and ask them about that. That's not good. I am collecting dividends on this, so I've been making a lot of money over the last couple of years that I've been holding this position, but I'm at a point where I'm ready to get out. So I'm just watching and waiting for it to rally up, giving it some time. We got significant demand that is in play, and as long as that demand is in play, I'm not really, I'm not concerned about this trade at all, okay? We just got to give it some time. Let's see, what other headlines do we have? Trump's credit card cap would spell economic disaster. What do you guys think about that? I think that's a pretty good idea, to be honest with you. Capping the interest rates on visas. I mean, some go up to like 20-something%. It's ridiculous. He wants to cap them at 10%. I don't know. Maybe it wouldn't have a good effect. I don't see where the bad news is that. I don't see where the bad news is on that. I think it's, with how things are today, especially after COVID, a lot of people required credit to survive and to cap the interest rates at 10%. I think that would be somewhat fair. The amount of knowledge you provide on live is actually a gem. Thank you. I appreciate that. Um, Took our eyes off of pound yen. Not too sure what you mean by that. I have kept my eyes very closely on pound yen. It was a pretty good trade. Let's go there really quickly. Um, I was a little bit ambitious, wanting a much bigger move to the upside off of that demand, but we got what, a 6-to-1 move, 6-to-1 RR off of that 1 hour demand zone. I mean, we located the demand off of the daily demand zone. And look at that massive move. Came into that demand zone exactly as we had forecasted. Got a nice 6-to-1 move, but I wasn't going for 6-to-1. Okay. I was going for a massive, what was it? 33-to-1. Okay. But that's what I wanted. And we didn't get it. I moved my stop to just above break even. It triggered my stop. So I'm out. And now I just watch to see what's happening. Okay. And now we're getting a push back to the upside. Daily demand zone still holding. Yeah, great, wonderful. Well, we'll see what ends up taking place. At the end of the day, we got a massive area of supply. So I don't know how much pressure there's going to be to the downside. If there's going to be a move up, I'll wait for a good, clean area of demand to come back into this market. And then when price retraces to that demand, I'll get back in. So it's no big deal. um, Kraft Heinz sinks as Buffett successor eyes selling stake. Ooh. Ooh. KHC. Let's take a look. How is that one doing? KHC. Kraft Heinz Corp. Ooh. Brutal. Well, I wouldn't have bought. Well, come on. Their average price is $77. That's crazy. Look how much it's dropped since. I wouldn't be buying this one. There's no institutional buying coming in here. I would not be touching this one at all. Okay. All we have is selling, 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 selling taking place. So this not good. No. Um, all right. Wall Street sees buying opportunity in Trump stoked chaos. S&P 500 profit beats draw worst stock price reaction ever. Yeah, that sounds pretty bearish, right? Right as the banks start coming in. Ryanair CEO dismisses Elon Musk's idea of buying the airlines as verbal feud escalates. RYAAY. There we are. Let's see. Let's see. Big institutional buying came in at $20. Yeah. Here would be a great spot to get into a position if you wanted to buy this stock. $46. That would be a great spot. Here, oh, look at this. Big institutional buying here. Wow, that was a good spot right here. That would have worked out really well. Yeah, that was a nice area of demand. Bought, retraced the demand, and shoot up $57 to $72. The weekly, look at that. Weekly demands coming into play right as we are speaking. Right here. Right here. $67. Let's take a look. Weekly. And for let's go to the 1 hour and see if there's any signal here off of this weekly. No, not really. I don't see anything juicy. But weekly demand in play, monthly demand in play. Yeah, this is good. This is pretty good. Very good. Looks bullish to me. It looks like, and where would I be targeting? Well, let me see. Look at this here. Let's just take a look at this price action here, okay? They took price from down here to as high as here, okay? Right now. We don't know if they're going to take it higher or not. But I would take that as an estimate from here to here. I would take that as a very conservative estimate. We're going to put today's date. I always keep track of the date that I put these estimates on. Yeah. And sync it that way. I can, I know when I place my targets. So $70 to $83, not bad. But the thing is, if you were to get into a position now, you know, you'd have to put your stop loss below either the demand zone or below the basing candle, okay? Because this was a drop into demand. A basing candle was created, and now we're getting the momentum candle. So typically when price is leaving, excuse me, typically when price is leaving an institutional demand zone, they'll come into the demand zone, they'll base. When they create that bullish candle, that's it. It's off to the races, okay? Once that candle closes bullish, it's off to the races. And you can see, okay, we're 2 days away from closing. We're already up there. It's going to be bullish. It's going to be a bullish candle. So very likelihood that they're not going to come down and retest this demand zone. It could happen, but very unlikely. So, I mean, you could get into a trade 3-to-1 risk to reward, targeting that one on Ryanair if you were inclined to do so. I'll add that one to my watch list as a potential because I see big institutional buying coming in here. Big institutional buying coming in here. Okay. The only thing is we had big institutional buying coming in at the $46 and we already produced 2 momentum candles to the upside. Usually after 2 momentum candles to the upside, usually there's a pause and then a retracement to the institutional demand. That's why I was telling you that the best spot to get into a long position on Ryanair would be down here at $46. Best spot. You could ride this. It could continue, but you know, would be very likely if this target got hit around this area, we would see the big decline from here down to that area again, 46, give or take, around this area. Okay, just some thoughts from what I'm seeing based on institutional price action. Okay. Now, so that was Ryanair. Medical AI startup, open evidence. Okay, Lemonade. Let's take a look at Lemonade. I've had my eyes on Lemonade, and I think, yeah, I have pending orders in this one to buy. The only thing is I'm not buying where we're at right now. Okay, this is no good. Okay, this type of price action is no good. I can't trade this stuff. This is garbage. This is nonsense. I need for it to break to the downside to get into our buy zone here. Okay, the buy zone that I located. This is big institutional buying that took place here. Okay, so I know that if price drops into this area, we're very likely going to see a move to the upside. Not 100% guarantee, but very likely. So I got to be patient, and I'm not trading it until it does what I'm expecting it to do. If it doesn't do it, I move on. But this one's good. Okay, this one's good. It's curling off the bottom, removing supply. It's a good opportunity, high odds opportunity. Lemonade launches an insurance product for Tesla full self-driving customers. Another headline for Lemonade. Okay, so eBay. How's eBay? Last time I checked, it was contacting major institutional buying zone. Yeah, it contacted our buying zone at $79. It rallied up, contacted supply again for the second time on the weekly time frame. Look, okay, institutional supply. Look, and again, our zones are moving. This is so frustrating. This is ridiculous. What is going on here? What is going on here? What do you guys think is going on here? Why are my drawings moving on some of them? Some of the charts, not all of them. You see that? Look at that. Look at all my charts there. Not good. Really, really upsetting. But anyways, the key is that we got supply here. And it should be drawn like that. Okay? We contacted supply once. We're contacting supply again. It's, you know, we got significant buying coming in here, right here. And then it dropped into demand. Now it's rallying up again. For me to be interested now, to go long, I need that big institutional supply area to be taken out. Once they take out supply, they'll come in with demand. I'll wait for retracements to demand, and then I'll get into that trade. All right, let's look at the trending tickers. Bitcoin. A lot of people asking me about Bitcoin. What do I think about Bitcoin? Well, they sure are taking their sweet time accumulating position. That's what I can tell you. So we have major institutional demand that came into play here on the monthly time frame. So the expected move over time is up. Period. Okay? Period. That's what's happening. Okay? On the daily time frame, what typically happens is we will see an accumulation take place on the daily time frame, and then they will shoot price up like a rocket. Okay, what does that mean? That means when institutional demand comes into play on a monthly time frame, usually it takes multiple days for this accumulation to reoccur. Okay, because they already created the majority of their position when they created that demand zone. When price comes back into those demand areas, they're filling in the rest of the orders. It typically takes multiple days, and then they shoot price up. This is what we were expecting here on this first phase here. Well, they didn't do that. They contacted supply, and instead of shooting up through it, they brought price down. So, you know, we're still ranging here. This is what's been happening. They're still ranging here. And typically why they do this is to accumulate more of a position. So this is what we were suspecting. Well, they're going to accumulate more of a position. But the thing is, they had a major institutional supply area here. So because that was keeping price down and it had already been tested twice, once, twice, the idea was wait for it to be removed to create new buying and then buy there. So I added to my core position. I already have a long position on Bitcoin, but I added to my position based on that demand zone, and I had a stop loss below it because if this demand zone breaks, then the idea behind going long based on this institutional demand is over. Okay, so they took it out. I got taken out of that position that I added to my core position, and that's it. So now I'm sitting on the sidelines. But as you can see, we have a new selling area here that's come into play. So guess what? What do you think I'm going to be watching for? I'm going to be watching for price to come back through this area, create another institutional demand area, and when price gets down there, I will be buying again. Because at some point, one of these demand zones that they're using to break price to the upside is going to hold, and it's going to give me a massive risk to reward. Okay, it'll be worth all these other attempts to get in. Okay, if I continue to trade the demand zones, because I know overall significant buying is taking place under here. So that's going to drive price action over the longer period of time. I'm just trying to time the exact zone that they're going to fill in those last orders before they jet price to the upside. Okay, so we're waiting for that to happen. I have a core position in case price just takes off and doesn't turn around, so I can still participate in the long trade. That core position is going to be untouched unless this thing starts to really fall apart, and then I'll exit out of my position. Because at the end of the day, anything can really happen, right? But we're trading based on odds, and the odds of that happening are low. The odds of price rallying higher are very high. So now we just got to be patient, okay? You search through, and this is exactly what is happening on Bitcoin. Okay. I just told you exactly what's happening on Bitcoin. Now go through social media and look at what people are saying with Bitcoin. Nobody has a clue. Everybody thinks they have a clue, but nobody really knows what's going on. People are saying Bitcoin's going to drop to 50,000 and all sorts of stuff. But like, where's your facts? Where's the facts that you're basing this on? You can't just come out with an argument and say, well, Bitcoin's dropping to 50. Okay, what's your argument for that? Oh, because it's dropped in the past. And okay, well, just because it dropped in the past doesn't mean it's going to replicate that. I have a very, very clear argument for why I'm telling you what I'm telling you. Because I've studied price action for years and I know what the banks do. I know what institutional demand looks like. I know what typically happens 2 time frames lower when a demand hits on a Monday on a monthly chart. What happens 2 time frame lower? I know what happens because I've studied price action. Okay, and my students know that we know what to expect because we study charts all the time, and this is what we're looking at. Okay, this is what we do in our level 3 session is we look at the dynamics of price action and how it relates with each other. Okay. So what time frame is in play on Bitcoin? Daily time frame. Don't let anybody else tell you any different. Well, anyways, they wouldn't even understand the concept of time frame being in play. One second. So daily time frame is in play. That's all that matters. So keep your eye on that. We're going to continue to watch it and wait for the move to take place. Period. That's all there is to say about that. Okay. Netflix. I made a post yesterday about Netflix before the market opened, and I told you it was bearish. I said, be careful, because they could use positive earnings to get people to buy so that they could offload their positions. Didn't I say that? Didn't I say that? Netflix warning. Okay. That's what I posted. Okay. Okay. Why did I post that? Because I want you guys to understand the logic behind why I was saying what I was saying. What was I seeing on the chart? Is this positive? Yeah, it's positive. Surprise, surprise. Both green, positive, right? Why is it dropping? Well, because that's what was happening. Okay, that's what was happening. Institutional selling came into play here. They retraced price up here and they sold 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 right into an institutional demand area. But here's the deal. We don't know if a demand zone is going to hold or not. We knew that the banks were buying back here. That's for damn sure, but we don't know if they're going to buy again here. You know how we know if they're going to buy again there? You take it to a lower time frame and you look for institutional buying to take place. And you know what? There was no signs of institutional buying here. This was all bearish. So as price was coming down, there was no sign whatsoever that big institutional buying was coming in on Netflix. So there was no reason, zero reason to be buying Netflix. Zero. So regardless of what earnings are, you stay the hell away from it. Okay? This is profit taking. And I mentioned this back quite a while ago on the daily time frame up here. You see what I wrote here? Profit taking. This is profit taking happening here. Okay? At 130. Well, it split. The price was more expensive. Okay? Where had they been accumulating? Folks, they were buying here at 20 bucks. They were buying here at 30 bucks. They were buying here. They were buying here. They were buying here. Okay? So 20, 30, 50, 70, 90, big institutional buying. Okay? Then they take profits here. And here. And here. And here. Okay? And remember I told you, be careful because when they're profit taking, they need to find a way to lure people in. Okay? Earnings here, positive. Earnings here, positive. Do you know why? Because they were offloading their positions during those times. Here was negative. Price dropped, rallied back up, and now positive again. Okay? You can interpret whatever way you want to. I'm just looking at the earnings and what it was based on estimates. Estimate was this, they came out positive. Estimate was this, they reported 12.5. Estimate was 11.97. Okay? Surprise, right? Above the estimate. So it looks positive, right? So it looks favorably for the company. So people are thinking, oh, okay, this is good. No, it's not good. Don't be buying it when the banks are profit taking. But the thing is, most people have no clue about profit taking, what it looks like, nothing. No idea. So if you don't know, then you're in trouble. Profit taking by the institutions. There you go. So now you know. Okay? And so this is why I posted that warning, is because I saw this happening. We saw this happening. We talked about it for quite some time, about the profit taking. And I even said, be careful. If it's positive earnings, be careful, because they're going to use that. It looks like the zone might actually be here, right here. Yeah, that looks like it. Okay. All right. So that's Netflix. IBM, what's going on with IBM? I've been keeping my eye on that one. I had a long trade on it that I gave to members, and we did well with it. Are my zones moving again? Oh yeah, look at that. A post I made on Twitter. Alert, long signal on IBM. And that was there. I posted that right here. Alert, long signal on IBM. Okay. Not too freaking bad, eh? Not too bad. Look at that rally since then. Crazy, crazy. So what am I thinking about now? I wouldn't touch it. Okay. I wouldn't touch it. We're reaching an area where we're likely going to see profit taking. I do see another demand zone here. Right here. Price could drop down into that one. That's a possibility. Yeah. But too much happening above here. This looks like profit taking. When you have a lot of this price action here, and not just that, but you see the big momentum to the downside, and then it creeps up, and then big momentum, creep up, big momentum, creep up, big momentum. When you see this, this is profit taking. Okay. So having a demand zone just below, could it work? Maybe not. I'd wait for proof that they're going to start buying again before I'd get involved in IBM. J&J. I don't really touch this one because they like to stick needles in people. And I don't necessarily agree with that unless it's absolutely necessary to do so. So I don't really trade them, but institutional demand here at 195. So if you like this one, price goes up, consolidates, drops into that area. Yeah, that could be a good one. Big buying is taking place here at 145. This area here. So it could be followed through by them dropping price here. It's possible. Decent odds. Great call on CNC a while back, Kevin. CNC. Which one's CNC? Oh, came into the institutional demand zone? Yeah. Yeah. And it's been buying ever since, eh? Yeah. Thank you, my friend. Cheers. What else do we have on the headlines? Schwab, SEHD. Schwab. What's going on with Schwab? Big institutional buying came in at $26. It's rallying up pretty aggressively, eh? A big spike to the downside. Remember I told you about spikes and then reclaiming a zone? This is what I mean by that. This is big institutional buying here. Price dropped, okay? massive wick underneath, reclaiming the zone. They closed price inside the zone, open price inside the zone, and it's been taking off ever since, okay? This is institutional buying here taking place at 26. So I would be switching it down to the weekly time frame, and I do see a spot here that could potentially give you a trade right here. But I wouldn't buy blindly. Wait for confirmation off this zone. I would wait for confirmation. Why? Because a lot of trading happened in this area. A lot of trading, okay? So I'd be careful. Came down here, gave me the confirmation on a lower time frame. Yeah, it could be a good spot. I'll keep this one on my list. I'm going to be going through the major sectors with members very soon. We're going to go through the sectors and look at the new buying opportunities, because this pullback in the market is going to be giving us great opportunities to buy. Okay, because there's very good odds that we're going to start seeing a rally begin to form from these lows. Okay, very good chance. So we'll see. Okay, look, the demand is coming in. It's coming into supply right now on the 1 hour time frame. Might see a short-term move to the downside. Okay, everything is here. You track the zones, everything's here, all the movements. Okay, that could work out quite well. Look at the pressure coming to the upside on NASDAQ, and the Dow Jones continues to push to the upside, just as I said. Isn't that a beautiful thing? Nice, eh? Anyways, good session. Good session. It was fun, right? Yeah, we covered a lot. Very good. If you want more information, you want to see what's going on with the market sectors, we're going to break down what's happening with institutional buying and selling in the market sectors, and then we're going to take a look at the stocks in those sectors and find the ones that are being currently bought up by the banks, and then we'll be taking a position. Okay, how is this feed, by the way? Everything running smoothly? Leave your comments. How's the feed been? Has it been good? Not jumping, not any craziness? No lagging? Leave a comment so I know. On my end, it says excellent feed, which I'm happy about. Thank the Lord. Jeez, took a few attempts after vacation, but we finally got it to go. Anyways, I'll read your comments below. I always appreciate your comments. I always read every single comment that you guys have. Appreciate the love. But we got to get the subscribers and the viewers coming in, man. You know, the algorithms, I don't know what the hell they're doing. Maybe they're just trying to keep this information. Maybe they have programmed institutional supply and demand, those keywords, from like being throttled down so that it doesn't get out there. I don't know. Maybe they are, maybe they're not. I don't know. But anyways, if you guys could like and subscribe, if you're not a subscriber, I'd appreciate it. Hit the like, leave some comments. I know the algorithms like that type of stuff, so if you could do that for my videos, I'd appreciate it. All right, anyways, anywho, I'll let you go. You take care, and I'll let you get back to what you're doing, and come and join us in the Telegram channel if you want some more. All right, see you then. Take care, everybody.